Marcia Smith, an author, rightly said, and I quote, "Cancer is not a death sentence, rather, it is a life sentence. It forces one to live."
Extending our warmest greetings to the people tuning in. We are so excited to introduce you all to our guest for the day, Ms. Prakshi Saraswat, a warrior and uterine cancer survivor. At 30, a day before her birthday, she was diagnosed with endometrial cancer. And today, through her page Bolsakhi, she voices her experience and educates communities on gynaecological cancer and women's health. She has also shared her journey on various national and international platforms and has been instrumental in normalizing conversations around cancer in young people. So, Prakshi ma'am, we've been following you on Bol Sakhi for some time now. What inspired you to start this venture and what inspires you to continue doing it?
First of all, I'd like to say a very good evening to everyone who is tuned in today. Thank you, Mira. Thank you, Khyati, for the lovely welcome. I'd say what is keeping me going with Bolsakhi is that, what I have experienced is kind of, not so normal thing to happen within the society. So, considering that I was young at the time I was diagnosed, and we have this conception, in mind that cancer is only, something for the old people to have. So the idea was to break that myth. The idea was bring to a light that cancer can really happen at any age, and more so for gynecological cancers. I think since there is a certain stigma and certain, I'd say, shame associated with talking about these kind of issues, people mostly, they would kind of not pay attention to their symptoms or not have enough courage to go out and get checked. So I think my experience could help somebody, gain that courage. My experience could actually, just give them that sense of, well-being, that they make that effort to go and get checked. So largely from that, and obviously this is the health part of it. The other part of it, I would say that there is a lot of, society that has to change in terms of, how they associate themselves with somebody who has cancer, especially a girl in India, so somebody who's supposedly of a marriageable age. And if something like this happens, that you lose your ability to have children, you labeled for life as a cancer patient. What happens to the other aspects of your life? Just to normalize those conversations, and just strive for some kind of normalcy around cancer talk. And if we don't talk about it, I think it's very difficult to just find any solutions that work for the society. So that, yes.
So I think it's really amazing that you are doing this in order to bring about a change in society, which is very much the need of the hour. So my next question to you would be, what were some of the important milestones and what were some of the positive events that took place during your entire journey, whether it was support that you received or some good news that you received? What were some of those important events that took place?
Yes. Okay. So Mira, I think the milestones as such, I think I had to take my life as it came to me last year. And of course, with something like this, it's not just the disease, it's a lot of your life dependent on certain parameters that you want your life to be in. And suddenly when you see that none of it is really, fitting in well, you do tend to kind of, how much ever strong you are, I'd say, we have to embrace our low points. So milestones were both, happy ones and sad ones, So I have embraced both. And in my journey, I think it's not, it would be unfair to say that where I am today is because of because of my own, my own strength. It is absolutely not the case. With cancer, I think it is a whole community. It is a whole lot of your, friends, your family, your social circle. Everybody has to like pitch in to get you out of that space and, get you going in life. So I've been extremely fortunate that ways. And I have friends all over. They constantly make sure that I am okay. If I'm not okay, they have that patience to hear me out time and again. they don't expect me to be, suddenly just be okay about stuff. That kind of patience is required, I think, for any kind of caregiver, especially with someone, who's dealing with cancer. So that has been there. Of course, like I'd always like to mention my parents, who've kept that open mind, and always, tried to help me move forward in life, in the sense that, okay, certain aspects of your lives are not getting fulfilled, but it's not like, those are the ones that you really really have to pay attention to. There's still life, ahead of you. You can still dream, you can still, look forward to working. Just your general goals in life, they're still achievable. So to maintain that kind of, I'd say, confidence in me, and just pushing me forward, is something that I needed, and I've been constantly receiving it from everyone in my life. So yeah, so far so good, I think.
I think that's absolutely wonderful to have the support of your friends and family. That's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
in my personal experience as well, it's extremely important to, get support from those
And to
people.
appreciate that, because in anything in life, I think, you need that, you need your people, you need somebody who believes in you.
Yeah,
And with a disease like cancer, more so, because I think there is no permanent cure to it, and there is a high sense of mortality that a patient is dealing with. There is a fear of reoccurrence. There is a lot of other fears. There's some side effects of the surgeries that you're dealing with. So I think, what you learn to be is not to be harsh on yourself. I think that's one way to go about it. Never be harsh on yourself, to any cancer survivor or caregivers as much. You have to learn to love yourself. And I think I'm still getting there. I would not
definitely.
paint a different picture and say that, okay, everything is hunky-dory. It's obviously not. It's a process, I think, and you have to take one day at a time. I think that's the way to go about it. Yes.
Must have been very overwhelming for you to handle emotional and mental stress during your battle against cancer. So, what were the factors that provided support to you other than your families and
Yes.
friends?
So, like you rightly said, Khyati, it's quite a tumultuous time when you get to hear of something life changing. Some people say that, people told me that you got good cancer. So, first of all, I would like to say that there is nothing like a good cancer, because mine was an endometrial cancer, which was endometrial carcinoma. People say that once you have a surgery, mostly it's cured, but that is one thing that I would like to say, that no cancer is good cancer, because it's not just the disease or the treatment, but it was also about the entire journey. It is also about somebody, being able to rise above it, and just looking at life from a different lens, like a positive lens. So, of course, while the treatment happened, I believe there was a lot of pressure on me from certain, everybody, your well wishers also, but everybody wants you to bounce back like ASAP, because probably that's how they think that, you should be. I was told that, treatment is done, don't overreact, don't do this, don't do that. Why are you thinking like that? But unfortunately, it doesn't work like that. Healing takes time. Your mental health will go up and down. It is something really really life altering. So you do tend to have like really bad days, and then you do tend to sometimes feel very very positive about life. So it's a cycle. It just goes on like that. But early on, I think I realized that, while my family and friends were there, I needed some professional support very early on. Like, I think right about after my surgery, and 2 months down the line, I realized that, I need professional support, which brings me to the point that I realized that mental health is absolutely important, and therapy is something that we should not shy away from. So, therapy is still something that I think our Indian context is getting to learn. People think that, how would talking to somebody and paying for that thing, help you out? But I think I realized the importance of it, and I have always appreciated it. But then when I was in this spot, I did not shy away from seeking medical help, going out to specialized, onco-psychologists, whoever that I wanted to talk to. Those people have these, that sense of, getting you to the right place. So I think, My treating doctor is Dr. Hiba Siddiqui. She's a senior psychologist in Max Healthcare in Delhi. So yes, it's been better. Honestly, it has helped me because see, cancer is something. One is a personal journey, and one is the journey that you live with people around you. They might not always have that emotional, capacity. I would say it's not that they're in denial, but they might not have that emotional capacity to help you. So professional help is absolutely something that you should go for, and something as heavy as cancer, please go, you go.
Definitely.
The patients should go, they should take their families if they agree. Some questions you just can't have answers to. And it's always better that you look for professional help. So mental health, prioritize, go for therapy, speak it out, just find your solutions. Just ask for a help basically from every corner that you can. So that has been my approach to it, and it's been helping me since then. I think it's getting better by the day. Yes.
You said that seeking help is very important. So, did you join any support groups that provided you support or helped you in your battle?
Yes. So, Khyati, I'd say when I was initially diagnosed in November 2020, um, the pain point was that there were not many reference points from the Indian context. There weren't any support groups. Nobody was talking about endometrial cancer in young people, or nobody was even talking about like gynecological cancer as such. So, I tried looking out since we are in the age of social media. My first reaction was to look for something on Facebook or Instagram, but unfortunately there was no conversation, especially from an Indian context. What I could find was just this one press release, that's talking about fertility preservation in a 29-year-old endometrial cancer survivor. That was all the literature that was available to me at that point. And it, unfortunately, and it was very distressing, because who do I speak to? Every doctor I go to do not believe that a 29-year-old 30-year-old is having cancer like this. Plus I don't have any my friends are not understanding, because obviously it's something medically complex, so they don't have the expertise to comment on it. Your parents, they are in shock. Okay, so they definitely can't guide you, which way to go. And 1,000 different questions, on how your quality of life is going to be affected, how physically your biology is going to affect. A lot of questions were there, but no Indian literature available as such. So what I could actually then finally find is a group on Facebook. It's called Young Endometrial or Gynecological Cancer Survivors Group. It's actually an American group that is started by a few of these cancer survivors, and it stands tall at about 2,000 young women, all aged from, I think, from 19 till you can say 45, 50. But like there is no obviously age limit, anybody can join that. But that was probably the only support group that I had at that point. And yes, I did have like a lot of conversations. Everybody was pretty open, pretty supportive. They kept on checking on you until you had the surgery, and any questions post that. So surgery is one part of it, but after that comes like your surgical menopause, mood swings, your weight issues, your hair issues, things like that, on which nobody counsels us. So that group is pretty active in that way. It's not, people are not providing medical, I'd say medical advice over there, but then if you hear it from somebody who's going through something similar, it just helps, emotionally, mentally. So that was one group, and I really wish, I've learned a lot from that group. Some of the members from there are still like my friends now, and we keep on checking on each other, which is great, because sometimes it's very difficult to get an outsider who's not gone through the same thing to make them understand what you're going through. So those women actually get it. They get it. They have the
Yeah.
same symptoms, probably same kind of fears. So having a support group really helps. So I really think that we in India should also have something like that. you know
Yeah. Yeah.
We have to get people talking about their condition, not that they have to actively speak about it, but at least share, because it helps. the number of messages that I get that, somebody went to the doctor because of me, it's overwhelming, in a good way, of
Mhm.
course. It just makes you feel like your journey has some purpose. It's just that. So we should have those conversations. We should create communities. We should educate young girls. We should talk about these issues with our moms, with our aunts, moms, cousins, whoever. Just
Yeah,
normalize all of it, just and cite examples like mine in your normal household, that don't ignore it. Just get it checked.
definitely.
God's grace, nothing should be abnormal about your condition, but then at least make that effort to go to the doctor and get checked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very fascinating how even social media, which was a very not a very significant part of our lives earlier, how it has completely transformed the way we live. As you said, that there was a support group not based in India, which you found out about, and you've been active on it ever since. So social media, I think, even though it has had like many negative consequences, it has also had many positive consequences as well.
I agree with you, Mira. So, I mean, while the debate is always on about how social media is taking over our lives, but I think that it is also important to realize the amount of information and the kind of connects we can
Yeah,
make on social media. So, at
yeah,
the end of the day, I think it's on to us on how we are making use of that information. I think it's a great space to be. And I'm personally a brand and marketing professional, so I advocate for social media all the time.
hmm,
um, so yes, I think that support was immense. I had the right kind of questions to ask my doctor. Otherwise, how would I even know that I have to talk about my bones, for example? I have to talk about my heart condition,
yeah,
because uh, the surgery that I had, causes you to lose all the estrogen in the body, and it has some certain side effects. Those questions I would not have known had I not been on that group. So
mhm,
let's just work towards creating such communities for people who don't speak English, people who are native Indians. Maybe just somebody takes that initiative and does that. Maybe doctors
yeah,
should get together and understand that, okay, cancers are very common these days. Every fourth or fifth person you will meet would go through a cancer diagnosis, such as our environmental condition. You don't know whether it's in your food chain, whether it's genetic, they say, but then you never know. Everybody is getting cancers these days. So
right,
to drive those conversations and then at least believe that this is happening to the young very frequently is something that the medical community also has to come to terms with. That acceptance is not there. I still get
hmm,
that, those looks, whenever I go for my checkup. They just look at my age and they'd ask that, are you serious? And I like, you're the doctor, please. I don't know. This is what it
hmm,
is. So that conversation really needs to happen, I think. Yeah.
definitely. We've heard about your journey before, and we are absolutely inspired by it. But I think it will be unfair to our listeners if they don't get an opportunity to hear it. So, would you like to give a brief gist of your experience while battling endometrial cancer with our listeners?
So about my diagnosis, it was honestly very sudden. It just happened, and I'd be saying that I was the lucky few who just got to know at a very early stage, because I had very significant symptoms, very prominent symptoms. I was anemic at one point in 2020. I was having heavy periods with clots. I was having fatigue. My general hormonal imbalance was there in the body. So I just happened to go to the doctor, and while everybody around me said that I'm probably overreacting and it's just regular period issues, but
Mm,
it wasn't really. And I had this small tumor in the uterus, which was diagnosed as a fibroid or a polyp, which is benign in nature. But somehow they thought that maybe it should be sent for biopsy, which happened by chance again, and it turned out to be cancer. So the standard treatment for it was a radical hysterectomy. It means your removal of the entire reproductive system. So they don't want to take chances, so they just remove all of it. Since I was stage 1, that was the only treatment applicable for me. And yes, there have been permanent side effects of me getting into surgical menopause. What should ideally happen at the age of like 45, 50, have to deal with it at 30, 31.
Mm.
So that's something that is bothersome, but I think getting used to it. My body's getting used to it. And yes, that was that. I was also planning to get married at that time, so a lot of things were happening. It obviously didn't happen, and okay, that's something, it just is a part of my life now. So yes, good part was that I heard, I listened to my body and I just went. It could have been something really, really gruesome if I hadn't taken that effort to go and,
Yeah.
ask for the checkup. First of all, I mean, see, what I have faced is that when you're young, when you tell a doctor that you're going to get married and all of that, they don't want to get you checked. They don't want to get you checked. That's the reality of it.
Oh.
Because nobody wants to like do something to your uterus, or give you a PCOD, PCOS diagnosis, or just give you like some fertility issue, as a diagnosis. So uh, because a lot of our society is driven by these factors. If somebody knows you
Mm.
have PCOS, you probably won't be able to conceive very naturally. You would require some external monitoring. So people are scared to have those conversations. So I think that was also the case with me. So I had to literally like push my doctor that please check me out. So
Mm.
for the young girls in India, it's very difficult to get a gynecological, checkup done. It's pretty difficult. I think there is. I wouldn't say all the doctors. Like my doctor is fantastic, Dr. Archit Pandit from Max, fantastic, very progressive. But the rest of it, I don't think. I mean, there's always this look of okay, like that. So that is
Mm.
something I think we should get rid of. We are sitting in 2022. People are mature. People understand medical issues. People can speak for themselves. So I think those reactions just need to go off the chart, I think. So it was pretty difficult. It is difficult not just for me. A lot of other girls, I've spoken to a couple of them, like not couple, at least tens of them. But that's a problem that is very specific to our country, unfortunately. In the Western countries, it's not really a big deal. First of all, cancer over there, while it is a dreadful disease, but then still I think because people talk about it in a very normal manner, it's like any other
Yeah.
disease. There is a certain acceptance about it. Here we
Mm.
think that if somebody says I was a cancer survivor, it's full on death sentence. So which is not the case. There's the medical sciences, the treatments, everything has improved. The expectancies have improved. So the important part is that we normalize saying the word cancer. Okay,
Yeah.
it shouldn't scare. While it is scary, I live with it every day. It's not
Mm.
as fancy and rosy as I'm making it sound, but still, it's not like you're going to die like tomorrow. Science is
Yeah.
advancing, and we should have that belief. How we talk about stomach ailments, how we say that we got flu, right?
Mm.
But we know that we bounce back from that. But with cancer, you think that few months this person is just gonna like go off. So that conversation, I think, if we don't talk about the disease in a normal manner, how do you think we get into the details of it and then actually push people to think on those lines that their symptoms could actually be something as serious as cancer? In your houses, when somebody says, when I talk, like for example, I'll just give a very funny example, but whenever in my house I say, अगर मुझे कैंसर हो गया तो somebody would, like my relative would come and say, अरे ऐसे नाम मत लो, ऐसे मत बोलो,
Mm.
अब वो हो गया था, वो कुछ हो गया
Mm.
था. मैंने कहा that कुछ has a name, okay? The kuch has a name. The kuch was cancer. When I say that I had cold, then I'm not getting scared. Okay?
Mm.
It's not something that we shouldn't speak. But with cancer, so don't utter the word, it's like the end of life. It's not that. It's not that, really. It is
Yeah.
it is it is a tiring journey. It is absolutely um it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll on your mental health also. But if we are like kind enough to ourselves, and that if you're able to believe in ourselves, and take it as just one I think stumbling block, and just get it
One
out of
step
your
at a
way and just
time.
move forward one step at a time. Absolutely. And for that, I think you need to appreciate your hard days, the bad days, and then the next remind yourself that you could come here up till here, and you can make it forward. Since I was not sure, so we're sitting in February 2022. November 2020, I had no idea that I'd be here, you know, because that fear was
Mhm.
always there. But one thing I always remembered was that uh, I'm going to get out of it by hook or by crook. But that includes embracing my bad days. I've had real bad days where, like, a lot of people had to come to, pull me together. But I keep them in mind
Mm.
that I was able to overcome those hard days, and I'm looking forward. I'm doing what I've always wanted to do. I changed jobs, I got that confidence to change jobs. I'm in a new city now. I'm living with friends. All of it is happening. Life is happening. Some parts of it are maybe they will never happen, but that's not my concern. What I appreciate is that I have today. I have today to celebrate. I have today to live, just enjoy my life. So that confidence is something that you have to build day on day, and I think it's possible. It's possible. I'm making sure that I do it for myself. So yes.
Yeah, I think that's really inspiring. And on a very personal note, I love talking to you. I just love your energy. I love
Thank you.
listening to you as well.
Thanks, Mira. Thanks. You guys are amazing, and I've been such a fan. Like, I've spoken to all of you before as well, and I think you are the women that this country needs. So just keep at it, please.
Thank you.
Like, if I would have ever had a daughter, I mean, unfortunately, life will never let me have that. Maybe in other forms or shape. But if I've ever had a
Yeah.
daughter, I would have really pushed them to be you girls. Very candid. I mean, maybe even unrelated, but very, very candid. You know, love from me to you. You guys are amazing, and please convey my regards to your parents. I've always told Udita, Arna, everybody. I keep telling them your parents are doing a great job, and you're driving such conversations, which is not easy. First of all, at a tender age as yours, to understand these things is something that I really appreciate. And I think you are the future. Yeah.
Thank you. I think that's a great, source of inspiration coming from you.
I agree with you. I think that in India, we do need a thinking shift, and that will take time. But now, like us, many other NGOs have started coming on Instagram and posting about stuff that people need to talk about and they weren't. So I completely agree with you. So, another question for you: how can we counter misogyny in the health sector to create a safe space for young women going through similar health conditions?
Um, Khyati, I'd say it should start from top to bottom. Like, it should be the healthcare providers who should be first comfortable with, giving help to who needs it, without too much probing, too much questions. If somebody is coming to you with a certain ailment or some complaint, you do not dismiss them based on their age, on how they look, how healthy they look, and their marital status. You don't do that. I think uh, it would sound harsh, but it's a responsibility that the doctors in the country have to take. Which is, I'd say that, you know, uh, I'd say it just starts from the doctors. Another thing we can do is to kind of create that safe space within our own households, that so that periods are not looked down upon, period issues are not looked down upon. Somebody in your family, some aunt, some it does not come to you and tell you that if you're having periods or period issues, that there's something absolutely wrong with you. People should be supportive in that manner. That narrative has to change. Your friends, let's, like I said, top to bottom, your friend circle, people, the women that you interact with should be comfortable sharing, issues that they have. Probably, for example, God forbid, in the future, you have a friend who is going through such and such. You can at least push them to make that effort to go to the doctor, right? Not tell them to sit and tell them that it's normal. It's females do that all the time, पेट में दर्द हो रहा है, कोई बात नहीं, heavy periods हैं, कोई बात नहीं, and हो जाता है, it will be fine the next month, you go exercise, eat something nice, it would be fine. So all of those conversations, don't take it lightly. So your circle, you should be aware of what to say to a female who is coming to you with a problem. Then it's, of course, I think, onto your own self. You don't take shit from people for your own condition. If somebody shames you for having a certain condition, you do not uh, just like remove them from your life. You don't need that negativity. You don't need, for example, a male to tell you that your period pain is inconsequential and you're probably overreacting. There's nothing against
Definitely.
any community, but I'm saying that there are people who have a view on how your periods should look like, or if you're suffering or not, whether you're anemic or not, or whether there is some magical cure to your gynecological issues. Do not let anybody tell you that, because it's ultimately your uterus, it's ultimately your body who's actually dealing with all of this. So,
Problems related to menstruation, I think, are stigmatized so much
of
that
course,
most people don't pay any attention to it.
right. And Khyati, as much as we'd like to bask in the glory that we are sitting in 2022, I'd still have seen households where females are really, made to sleep on the floor, made to not touch anything in the kitchen. I think it's a huge cultural shift that needs to happen, but I don't know when will that be. We are already sitting in the 21st century. So those, maybe, if things don't change around you, maybe you be the drivers of change and don't let it happen to any other female around you. To speak up, like, question, which many of us don't, because we're so structured in our thinking. Most of us, I'm talking of the, like I'd say, general public. I'm not talking of specific people who have these very forward ideas. But if you see, like 90% of the people, females in the country, they're conditioned in a certain way to feel bad about their own bodies, to shy down on talking of periods. They can't even openly say that, they're going through period pain and they just want to not work, for example, or, just want to rest up, or just want to be like away, left alone. We can't even talk all of those. But things are changing, I'm sure. Things are changing. And we are the best advocates of our own bodies. And considering, I mean, the environment that we live in, whether it's being in the ACs, eating some genetically modified food, or just having these long working hours, sitting on the chair, you never know, where is the cancer creeping in from in today's day and age. Till now, I don't have a clear picture of, why cancer happened to me. There's been no report. There has been no communication. It's definitely not genetic, because nobody in my family has it. So I think being the advocates of your own body, being your own advocates, is the only way to go. And just support women around you. Give them that voice. Many people don't have that voice. My parents, I would say I fall in that very lucky bracket that they don't kind of mind. I wouldn't say mind, but they don't question me speaking about, so unabashedly about my experience, because most won't do that. And I've seen, unfortunately, a couple of my friends are also dealing with some kind of cancer, like breast cancer, this and that. They're not allowed to speak at all. So it becomes even more heavy for them to deal with it. Like, people think that everything is like uh, glorious with you and you're just living like a very normal life. But inside, probably those people are crushing, they really want to share it. They really want to speak about it. So not everybody has that privilege, and I do understand that. Not everybody wants to like actively go back in time and just keep on, kind of breaking their heads around whatever their ordeal was. But I think it also, while I do it out of choice, I also take it as my personal responsibility to be speaking about it, because it does save lives, you know. It's like I previously also said, when somebody just heartwarmingly just messages you and says that, hey, I went to the doctor because of you. Hey, I got
Hmm.
diagnosed with PCOD, but rest all looks okay. Does not
Yeah.
look cancerous. It just gives me immense joy. I mean, it just makes me like happy for the rest of the day. So, yeah, I think um, I'll keep doing it as much as I can. I'll keep speaking about it as much. It does make you sad sometimes,
Yeah.
but I think it's important. It's important. I've like met a couple of great campaigners now, like both they are also uterine cancer survivors of some kind, and some breast cancer survivors. They're such great activists and such fierce women. Really take inspiration from them, you know. And I think a country like ours needs a lot of work around this, which is happening. I mean, like you said, a lot of Instagram stuff is happening these days, you know. People are talking in all sorts of languages so that it's understandable. So I
Mm.
just want to also add to that, you know,
Yeah.
bandwagon,
Yeah.
and just do my bit, I think. Yeah.
And also, I remember this one line that you said very prominently, that people said that you lost your Stridhan, but I am a Stri and I'm my own Dhan.
Yes.
I really
Yes.
feel that, it's very important for us to not only just recognize the consequences, but also normalize these consequences.
Yes. Our the generation, for example, people of my age, what I personally, you know, realized and personally lived that experience. People of my age are not really irked by the idea of not having a uterus, or you know, having kids
Mm.
of your own. Everybody is pro adoption, like at least in my circle, everybody's pro adoption. Everybody thinks that, you know, if there's love inside you, you probably can give it to anyone. But I think the
Mm.
generation like my fathers and the likes of them, they're still like hung up to that idea of having genetic kids, and you know, not having that emotional inclination to somebody that you adopt. They're still of the different idea, and it's very hard to change. I think, you know, it's very hard to change. My grandfather still does not accept that something like this
Mm-hmm.
has happened, because like I said, the social construct is such that you're as good as your uterus, you know. It's not, he's very supportive of me, he loves me, but he feels that probably it would be very difficult for somebody to accept me as such, you know, quote unquote accept me, because
Mm.
now I lack something in my body, you know.
Right.
So that is something that of course, you know, bothers me, that oh, is it like, you know, is your self-worth just about your uterus? This is very probably I'm just getting a little too deep, you know, on this conversation, but this is true, you know. Sometimes you'd feel that, okay, was that just meant for, you know, uh,
Mm.
being a mom, or just giving somebody a child, you know, is that your only
Mm.
existence? So such questions are very poignant, they do run through your mind sometimes. But then, like I said, be your own advocate, be your own best
Yeah.
friend, love yourself first, and then I think you always have love to give to others.
Mm.
One organ should not be defining your worth. You've made yourself something in whatever years of your life. So if something's gone, it's gone, because it was important to for you to save your life. So people need to just accept it, that, you know, what I cherish today is being able to sit here and talk to you guys. At one point, even that wasn't the thought in my mind. You know, I would just say that, okay, I'm going. It could be just any moment. So, like, you have to do a lot of self talk, I think, to get over something like this. Self
Mm.
talk, reminding yourself that, you know, what you've been all your life, the kind of person you are, how much integrity you hold, how much strength you hold, and it amazes you. You know, something like a cancer diagnosis, it
Mm.
amazes you. You'd see most of the cancer survivors, they have this very positive, you know, smile on their faces, because you go through any of their Instagrams or whatever. It looks happy, but inside it has taken them some immense amount of courage to be smiling like that, because it's absolutely
Definitely.
shattering. Yes.
Yeah.
I take inspiration from everywhere, and I remind myself that my life is so much more than my diagnosis.
Mm.
So I keep at it. Yes, I'm my own done, of course.
So we also, I also know that you have a food page where you post your things that you make. How did you, get passionate about cooking?
Okay, so there's like a childhood story to that. My brother used to be in Bombay when we
Mm-hmm.
were children. He's a professional cricketer. So my mom
Oh,
used to be away for quite a long time, like, 3, 4 months at a stretch. So we didn't like the food that a cook used to make.
oh.
So it just happened out of chance. And my mom is a great cook. And then I realized that, I really, really enjoy cooking.
Mm.
So I've been cooking like almost all my life. Since I
Oh.
was 13, I think I started experimenting, learning. So yeah, Oi Rama Rama is actually indicative of my mother's name. My mother's name is Rama. So
Mm.
Oi Rama Rama is a page dedicated to her.
Oh.
Because when you eat Rama's food, you go Oi Rama Rama. That was some silly logic that I had to it.
That's really sweet.
Yes. So yes, I've not been pretty active there because I had to shift cities. But then yes, when
Okay.
I get a place of my own, I definitely plan to share more recipes and just I think share my
Mm-hmm.
food love for food. I think all of us love food, so maybe you can
Yeah,
check that out. A lot of vegetarian
definitely. Yeah.
stuff because I'm a vegetarian,
Yeah.
but I'll keep that page active. It's one of my babies that I really like to pamper, I think.
Yeah. You've already, encouraged and inspired our audience already, but are there any final words of encouragement that you would like to say to someone who is going through a similar situation?
Two things. I'll speak from two perspectives. One is for the patient, and the second for the caregiver. For the patients, I'd say that mortality is something that we have to. The third mortality is something that we have to deal with, because
Mm.
I acknowledge that fear of losing your life is very real. So don't let it drown in over optimism, because
Mm.
I'll tell you what, when you drown in over optimism, you tend to put a lot of undue pressure on yourself. I don't know if I'm making sense, but we do tend to put, you have to like suddenly solve every problem. You have to
Mm.
suddenly get out of every tough situation and suddenly try to solve the mystery and be your, prior self. So after a cancer diagnosis, I don't think there is a prior self, and a lot of cancer patients would agree to me. It's a whole new way of life. It's a whole new way of looking at things. It's a whole new perception of life. It really teaches you what matters, what not. It really allows you to pause, and think and really reflect on how much energy should you be actually investing in something. So I would just say that please be don't be harsh on yourself. If you're feeling sad, it's valid. If you're feeling cheated, it's valid, I think. If you're feeling
Mm.
that why me, it's absolutely valid. So
Yeah.
if somebody pressurizes you into being some superhuman who does not, who's come out of this cancer thingy and suddenly become like awesome, I don't think so that people should take that pressure. It is something
Mm.
extremely heavy, and we should give ourselves that space to heal, give ourselves that space to uh, embrace it. And not I'm not saying just let it define your life. It's just that please accept and then move ahead. Don't try to defy it and just try to uh, people say just forget it. It doesn't happen. So we need to be kinder to ourselves to be able to deal with it. And
Mm.
the loss of your prior self, I think it's legit. And sometimes you feel that, even I feel that, I was like, I keep telling my friends, I was so chirpy, I was so like loud, I used to like dance all the time and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So So I want to be that, suddenly like my memory washes away and I don't remember any of it and it just become my prior self. But in reality, it won't happen. While I can be all of those things again, which eventually I will, but then I also have to accept that something deep has happened, something that
Yeah.
needs my attention, and I need to heal out of it and then move on. So, all the cancer patients out there, guys, please, I mean, take your time. Take as much as time you want. There is no rush. While it might look like a life is a race, but it's still your life
Yeah.
and you still have to take it easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up.
Yeah.
Not worth it. Second of
Yeah.
all, to the caregivers, I think please, I mean, be extra supportive. We won't make it without your support. I think
Mm.
please, I mean, if somebody is going on and on about their situation, it's just that probably they don't have any definitive answers to how to resolve this and move forward. So that support, whether or not you understand it, I think just be there in solidarity, be there in thought, be there with your time, check on these people. It's really something that we can't explain. So that support is, I think, all we have. So never let that go. Yeah.
So, with that, I think we would like to end this episode of our podcast. Thank you so much, Prakshi ma'am, for taking out the time to chat with us. Talking to you has made us realize how much of society and its overall health can improve if we have more discussions like these. And I hope that the people listening to this podcast take charge of their health and wellness and find this podcast useful. So, thank you so much once again.
Thanks, Mira. Thanks, Khyati, Udita, Arna, Shrishti. I can see you all on the call. Thank you, the Girl Club. You are, like I always say, that you are really bringing up some great women for the future. And that makes me immensely proud. And guys, please, you are the agents of change. Please keep talking about it. Please, I know you are already making that great, effort towards it, but then never lose sight of it, just be at it. The society needs people like you. And thank you for giving me this platform. Thank you for connecting me to fellow survivors, caregivers who probably are going through something similar, and they just need like a word of support. I wouldn't say encouragement, but just a word of support. Sometimes that is all they have, and thank you for giving me that voice and helping me reach out to more people. Really appreciate it.